Hello and welcome to the Spark Change podcast. I'm Denise Miller. I'm the Advocacy Coordinator for Firesteel, which is a network of Washington YWCAs committed to ending homelessness through innovative advocacy.
And I'm Erin Murphy. I'm the Director of Community Engagement for the YWCA Seattle Kings Snohomish.
That's right. And so we are, as you can tell by this tree, we're in the second half of December. And it's a time of year when a lot of people are reflecting on the last 12 months. And so we thought that we would do a little year in review and look at some advocacy campaigns that really stood out to us.
Yeah, and I just have to say that for those of you watching this on video, we do have the Christmas tree in the back, and that Christmas tree actually even made it on my holiday Christmas card this year, so your tree is going to be super famous, Denise.
Yay, we had some fun photo shoots in my place. Anyway, so let's start with one that is super obvious, the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yeah, we have to talk about this one.
Did you do it, Erin?
I did not.
Yeah, neither did I.
No.
So maybe we can talk about why. So, okay, maybe you lived under a rock this year and don't really feel that familiar with the Ice Bucket Challenge. Now, all of you know it. But so people basically challenged each other, mostly on Facebook, but on social media, to dump buckets of ice water over their heads and or donate for ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. The campaign was kind of confusing because it was kind of confused, like it wasn't really from a centralized coordinated place.
Right.
It started with, I guess, some golfers on the East Coast would do this ice bucket thing to raise money for their favorite causes. At some point, it got connected with ALS. And man, the rest is history. It really blew up. It just took over my Facebook feed for a few weeks there over the summer.
Yeah, did you get tagged at any point though, Denise? Because somebody would do it and then they would call their friends to do it by tagging them. I somehow escaped that. Maybe people just knew I wasn't going to do it. I don't know. Did you?
I'm kind of shocked that you escaped it. Yeah, I really didn't want to get tagged, and then I did. And like it kind of threw me into, I don't know, not a crisis, but I was like, my husband Sean and I were thinking really hard about whether we wanted to participate, just because we had some qualms around the whole thing.
What were those?
Obviously, well, so the pros are like, yes, you're getting people, excited about, participating in advocacy, and, of course, it's a good cause. Thousands of people die from this disease that has no cure and no treatment. And I think some of the best things that I saw around the Ice Bucket Challenge were people who actually had this disease, saying how much it meant to them, that people were acknowledging that it even existed and that they felt like people were on their side. Some of the issues I had with it were I don't feel like a lot of the people who participated were actually trying to raise awareness or even contributing financially to the cause. It really turned into like, look at me, I'm dumping ice on my head, and this is fun.
It was just sensationalism. Yeah,
and it felt particularly bad because it was happening over the summer when there was pretty severe drought in some parts
of California, especially. That got a lot of bad PR.
Yeah, so that was kind of gross. It also just felt a little bit, just like, I don't know, like I think a lot about other parts of the world and how they don't have the luxury of like wasting water in that way. And so, ultimately, I decided not to do it, although we had, thought about, okay, maybe we do it and dump water over our head in our garden or something like that, like something that we would do anyway.
Yeah.
I kind of had other life circumstances come up and I ended up just not doing it at all. Yeah. But and in any case, it was, from the organization's perspective, a super successful.
Right. It was super viral. Yeah.
Yeah. So they did, raise awareness to some extent, even if people weren't really talking about the disease. Some people were, and that was powerful. They also raised a lot of money. I just looked on the ALS Association's website, and they received $115 million in donations since July. Which is like multiple times what they normally would have raised.
So much. Yeah, I think if they were able to put something together to show how they've used the money, because that is so much money, so that we can see what impact that money made on their actual mission and the work that they do and put some sort of video or something, images out there, I know I would definitely notice. So I really do hope that they do something like that so they can kind of close that loop and it's not just hanging.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually is a really great segue to the next one that we want to talk about, which was Pass the Peace.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, everyone, at least in Seattle, loves Russ Wilson.
I totally have a number 3 jersey. First ever official NFL jersey that I spent money on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all Russell.
He's a real hero in our town in Seattle, not only because he's an amazing football player, but he's also like seems to be a super good guy. He goes to Children's Hospital every Tuesday and visits with patients there, and he's connected with
him on Instagram because of that.
Yeah, it's so sweet. It's really touching.
Sweet. Yeah.
And so he was really troubled by some of the incidents that the NFL has been experiencing around domestic violence, and he just of course, is against violence in general. And he wanted to show that an NFL player, despite, some of the ideas people might have around the NFL, could come out and be a really pro-peace person. He also wanted to help raise money for the National Domestic Violence Hotline, because they got a huge surge in calls after this whole NFL news broke, and it was really taxing them. They weren't able to answer all the calls that they were getting. And so he started this first a foundation called Why Not You, and the Pass the Peace campaign. So the idea there was to raise awareness, to get people talking about passing the peace, and he put a lot of celebrity star power into it, his own, and then some other entertainers and sports figures got involved talking about this cause. So it was kind of piggybacking a little bit off of the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge style of posting videos and tagging other people, trying to get them to talk about your cause, although there was no AC component to this one.
Right, and I know that there were sweatshirts because those popped up, Pass the Peace sweatshirts. But yeah, it just sort of seems to have faded away. It's interesting, though, because a number of things popped up around that time. So another campaign that I still don't know that much about, but is also getting a lot of traction with NFL players, is the No More campaign. And it's that same idea of just encouraging conversation about domestic violence. And so they have really awkward commercials that come on during games. And yes, I totally watch the Seahawks games. And so I see those. And so that is something that seems to have continued a little bit more. But I still don't know that much about that campaign either. So it's interesting, too, how coordinated all these different campaigns are around domestic violence in the NFL. I don't know. It can get a little noisy at times without knowing how they really are connected, if they are at all. So
yeah, absolutely. And I would also say that, in researching for this podcast, I thought, I wonder what has happened with this Pass the Peace campaign. And so, I went to the website and looked on social media, and people are still using the hashtag, and that their use of that is displayed on the Why Not You Foundation's website. But they started a Twitter handle and a Facebook account for just the Pass the Peace, and that hasn't been updated since October. And I think that that's really disappointing. I think that maybe they were kind of overstretched and, just didn't make sure that they had a sustainable way to get those updated, because I would love to know how much money they've raised and what the impact has been.
Right, and people were so excited to see Russell Wilson, Super Bowl quarterback, too, talking about this. So that is really sad to see it fade out. So
yeah. So Russ, if you're listening,
bring it back. TV still exists, sadly. Didn't go away in 1 month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So moving on, another issue also related to how women are treated.
So hashtags, man, a lot of really good ones popped up in this last year. One of the ones that I really got on board with during the summer and fall was the Not Just Hello hashtag. So it was quite a few women starting to speak out on Twitter about the fact that catcalling on the street is not okay, that it isn't just hello, it's not just being friendly, it is sexual objectification. So I myself used that hashtag a couple of times. And then that hashtag, probably not surprisingly, started getting a lot of attention from guys as well, and a lot of them very receptive, a lot not, and really justifying male behavior towards women. And so thank goodness some really awesome guys stepped up and created a really important and entertaining hashtag to respond to that whole situation, and it's called Dudes Greeting Dudes. And so it's a really sort of funny twist on if you just take sort of catcalling at face value and just saying, well, it is just friendly, I don't mean anything by it, then why can't dudes do it amongst dudes? So there was the CEO of This Week in Blackness, James White, started a hashtag, and he I started following it and I couldn't stop because there's just so many creative ways to sarcastically call out how not okay that is. So definitely look it up if you haven't. I don't know how active it still is now, but it definitely made a good statement. And we're always saying that gender equality absolutely need guys to be a part of it. So this was a really great way to see how guys were stepping up to the plate. So.
Absolutely. And then there was another one that really caught our eye that is related to all of the police violence that we're seeing perpetrated on largely Black men. We've obviously, our nation is really reacting to the deaths of Michael Brown and Eric Garner. And so one activist, she's an artist, Shirin Bargi, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but she's actually from Iran, and she had witnessed or experienced police brutality in her own country, and she was really moved by what she's seen here in the United States. And so she created a series of images with the last words of some of these people who have been killed by police. And so they're really moving. Erin, you said that they made you cry looking at them.
It made me cry. It made me cry like 3 different times. It's so powerful. It's so simple. So it's just this list of black and white photos, which I think probably those really simple, or that simple color palette was intentional as well, just a guess. But when it's that simplistic, I'm sure every single choice was intentional. And so very, very simple black and white images that share the last words spoken before a number of black men who died at the hand of police. So it just really shows the humanity that the words they were saying, they're not violent. Some of the words that are spoken, it was during the interaction with police. Some of them, the person died so quickly and suddenly that the last words spoken were, "I love you," to a family member. One of the ones that really got me with, Eric Garner being an asthmatic, his last words were, "I can't breathe." Oh my God, I'm an asthmatic, and even right now it's giving me chills in the not good way. So be prepared when you look it up. Definitely look it up. It's worth it, but be prepared to be really emotionally disturbed and moved.
Absolutely. We also want to talk about a hashtag that just got started in our own advocacy community. It's Rare Brief One Time. That is basically our goal when we are saying that we want to end homelessness. We recognize that we probably cannot prevent every single instance of homelessness that might occur, but we can make it real brief in one time. So we hope that one catches on and that we see it more and more.
Yeah, use it. We want to see you online. We know that this is not a comprehensive list of social media campaigns from the last year. It's just those that really came to the forefront of our minds. But if you can think of others that really stood out to you for better or for worse, tell us about it. And where can they tell us, Denise?
So many places. You can go to our website, that's firesteelwa.org, and that's where you can also find links to some of these campaigns and articles about them. So lots of good resources there. Or you can find us and comment on Facebook or on YouTube, or you can tweet at us at firesteelwa.
We also want to make sure that everybody knows that the Spark Change podcast is available not just as a video, Google Plus Hangout, on our website and blog and YouTube, but it's also an audio podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes, so you can subscribe for free and never miss an episode. And believe me, I get warm, fuzzy feelings every time I see a new subscriber. It's so fun to see our community growing. It really is that sensation of like, oh, they really like me.
It's true. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and just want to give you a heads up that it might be a little longer than a month before we come back with another Spark Change podcast. It's the holidays, and we're also gearing up for our 2015 legislative session.
Yeah.
So we're busy elves this time of year.
We are both. You and I are both doing a fair amount of traveling, and then there's tons of prep work for the state session. I will give a teaser out there. We have some really cool and exciting things to share with you all come January, some connected still to the StoryCorps work that we did, so stay tuned.
Yes, so till next time, and happy holidays.
And Happy New Year. Bye, all.